Alrighty guys, welcome back indeed to the channel. So in this video, we're going to be showing off the new legendary soul shards that you can acquire. Now, you're going to have to upgrade these as well. This is basically the new content in Season 25. So to explain all of it in full detail here, you have these as drops. There are legendary soul shards that you can put into your helmet, and there's legendary soul shards that you can put into your weapons. You're only allowed one helmet legendary soul shard and one weapon legendary soul shard. And when you get them, they are going to have some range of not only numerical stats that can vary, like the amount of damage that you get with it as a bonus, but in addition to that, that can roll in different numbers. You can see there's a 289, there's a 294. Most of them will have that at the first level of text for the weapon one. Now there are also elemental bonuses, for example, this one has the bonus with physical, while this one has the bonus with arcane. So you can also roll different types of damage on it, like fire damage, cold damage. But in addition to that, there are 3 that you put in your helmet. Some of them will have some certain legendary ability that may be able to be changed. I'll kind of go over that. Now, if you guys do want to see gameplay of it in action, I'll pin one video in the comment. It's a really, really fast, 1 minute Greater Rift video. But basically, these will significantly increase your DPS. So this one over here, the Sliver of Terror, has plus 25% to life, and all of them will have plus to a certain amount of life. Again, that range will vary, but the last 2 tags are kind of what separates the soul shards from each other. So in this one, we get reduction of cooldown, we get reduce all resource costs, we get reduction of melee damage, we get extra gold, extra XP, and our attack speed and crit hit chance are increased by 7% for each skill on cooldown. The next line of text is our cooldowns are increased by 25%. And then for every skill on cooldown, you take 12.5% reduced damage and deal 75% increased damage. So that's really good. In the build that I was using for the gameplay, I basically would just keep everything on cooldown so I would get all of these bonuses. Now, even if you have another copy of the Sliver of Terror, you can actually get different stats, and I'll get into that in a second, but I just want to go over all of them briefly really quick. So with the Fragment of Destruction, we have increased life, reduction of cooldown, all resource cost reduction, we have damage reduced by ranged attacks, we get extra gold, extra XP, and then the other effect is you now leave a trail of wake or fire in your wake that slays enemies with the mark of destruction that are below 10% health. So it's almost like Calling Strike and PoE. Then with the second line of text, you move unhindered through enemies. Each enemy you pass through will be marked by destruction for 7 seconds. Each marked enemy that dies removes 1 second from one of your skills on cooldown. If the mark of destruction expires before the enemy dies, you lose 2% of your maximum health as damage. Marks are not applied if you are below 35% health. So basically, this encourages you to go through the enemies, and then you can get extra CDR. That's actually pretty cool for certain builds that would normally need, let's say, Messerschmitts or Yugioh. This could be a really cool build for you, especially if you're playing a build maybe like a Whirlwind build where you're just going to mow through the enemies anyways, and you're going to have to go over them, and there's a tick, on the rend. That's going to be pretty cool as well. And then next up, we have the Shard of Hatred. So with the Shard of Hatred, we get extra life, cooldown, resource cost reduction, and then reduced damage from melee attacks, gold, XP, and then the other 2 bonus things that separate this one. You now deal 15% for every enemy instead of 10% to a maximum of 150. So it's kind of weird that it just says you now deal 15%. What? But it's related to the second line of text over here, where you deal 15% reduced damage while you have 3 or fewer enemies within 25 yards. If more than 3 enemies are within the same distance, you deal 10% increased damage per enemy up to a maximum of 100%. So massive amount of damage if there are more enemies. I think that first line of text, the last 2 lines of text should be swapped, because the text doesn't really make sense if you just read it. It says you now deal 15%. 15% of what? It makes more sense, I think, if they put the other text on top, but you get the idea. It works with the secondary, last line of text. But that's the Shard of Hatred. Now, again, these ones are only socketable in your helmet. And I'll go over some of the modifiers that could be different as well in a moment here. But next up, we have the Essence of Anguish, so we get extra damage, and then again, these can roll elemental or physical. And then we have crit hit damage increase damage against elites, extra life per hit, some Thorns damage, which could be pretty big as well. And then the last two lines of text with the Anguish are killing an enemy deals the damage done by the death blow to all enemies within 25 yards. This could be really good for, let's say, damage over time, or if you're playing the new Shadow Impale Demon Hunter, they got a massive buff. The Essence of Anguish would probably be one of the best choices, as it's just going to massively increase your clear speed. And on top of that, they actually buffed up that build in another area, which gives the secondary projectiles to deal a massive amount of extra bonus damage as well. And then the next bonus is every time you deal poison damage to an enemy, you increase your cooldown reduction, movement speed, and damage reduction by 5% for 10 seconds. And you get 10 stacks of like movement speed. That's going to be insane as well for clear speed. Granted, you have to have poison damage to proc it. Next up, we have the Remnant of Pain. So this one has the ability to give you flat damage. Then we get the elemental bonus. The last one was 72. So this range, if you hold Alt, normally you can see like the range, or Control, you can see the range, but it doesn't let you do these on the legendary soul shards, at least not as of right now. But it would be cool because this is the PTR, so I'm giving them some feedback to be able to see like, you know, what's the min and max on this. But this one's 50%, so I'm guessing maybe 50 to 100 on each one would be maybe the estimate here. And then we have crit hit damage, a massive amount of damage, and then we get increased damage against elites. We got life per hit, Thorns damage, and then the two bonuses: when you critically hit an enemy, you increase the attack speed of all players by 5% for 5 seconds, and that's 10 stacks on that. So this could be interesting for maybe some support builds that would just like to run this to help out the rest of the players in here. I know a lot of people will just throw an Amethyst, but if you have an extra, like, you know, gem slot in your weapon, this could be something to consider. But then you also have to actually get crit hit chance. But nonetheless, kind of an interesting effect. Next up, we have the Dregs of Lies legendary soul shard. So increased damage, crit hit chance, and that's a massive amount of crit hit chance. If we look at that, that's like 8%. I'm guessing maybe 10 is max. And then increase elite damage, we get life per hit, Thorns damage, and then we have double the damage reduction enemies receive when you critically strike them. The second part of it says, reduce the damage of enemies hit by 33% for 5 seconds. The damage you deal is reduced by 50%. So this could be good, again, for more in the support category. Would be interesting to see, and I'm not positive on this because I haven't done like extensive testing. We're in day 1 right now. If you can proc this on followers, that would actually be something that could be, you know, definitely usable, because the followers don't do enough damage anyways, even if you try to scale them. So, yeah, reducing the, you know, Rift Guardian's damage by 33% would be quite great. Next up, though, we have the Stain of Sin. So this is damage, then we have some elemental damage, and then we have critical hit damage increased by a certain amount, increases damage against elites, life per hit, Thorns damage, and then we also have you deal 25% less damage. When you kill an elite enemy, you spawn a pool of blood that increases the damage non-elite enemies receive by 250% and lasts 7 seconds. And then the secondary effect is the pool of blood now negates elite affixes within its area. So I don't really see that many people wanting to use this, because like if you deal less damage, yeah, but there is like a bonus with it, so you can delete the smaller enemies. That could be a very interesting like sort of play style where you focus in on killing an elite, but you deal less damage to kill the smaller things to group like massive amount of enemies. That could be something kind of cool to take into consideration as well. Now, like I mentioned before, there are 7 new legendary soul shards. Now, these, I believe, don't count as gem tags in the game. And the reason why I say that is there is, let's say, like the Leoric's crown, that would give you, I don't have it in here, but there is, let's say, the where's the Crown of Leoric ability, where it gives you double the bonuses of gems. If you're wondering, can I stack that? I do not believe you can. If there's any weird interactions, let me know. It's not, yeah, it should be Leoric. It should be under L for Leoric's crown then. So where is it? Oh, here it is. So where it's like increase the effect of any gem socketed into your helm. Yeah, to get double of these bonuses would be absolutely insane. Like I said, in terms of the numbers, it didn't look like it worked, at least in the stat sheet. Again, we're day 1. This could change. I don't think it would work, but if there's any weird interactions, definitely let me know. But we're still not done with the video yet. Like I mentioned before, that you can get the same gem, but it has different effects. So let's compare these two, like the Remnant of Pain. So you can see you can deal, the damage number can be in a range here, and then we also have the legendary changed on the second, on the the two last bonuses, the second to the last tag over here. This one, remember, when we critically hit an enemy, we get to increase the attack speed of all players. And I'm wondering if we have, you know, multiple people running this, does it stack? I don't know the full extent of it yet. And then this one over here, the Remnant of Pain, our movement speed is increased by 50% faster than normal. And then you gain passively. When you move through enemies, you knock them back and stun them for 2 seconds. So that could be pretty good. Let's go ahead and throw this one in, and let's see our movement speed. Right now it should be 25 because I put in the Paragon points. We'll throw that in. I'm not sure exactly. It doesn't say like it has to proc. Maybe when we move through an enemy, that would essentially proc it. Let's just go and actually test this one out real quick. So let's see our movement over here. 45. So I guess we actually have to like have the ability to move through. So we'll just go right back into town. I just kind of want to test. There's a bunch that I haven't tested out. The point of this video is to show it off, because otherwise, if I was to test every single mechanic, we could be here for a really, really long time. So this one over here makes it so hitting enemies with cold damage has a 50% chance to freeze them. Cold skill damage is increased to frozen targets by 20%. 50% chance to freeze is pretty good. If you could actually use this with the Ethereal weapons, this would be absolutely insane, but Ethereals will not be like available during Season 25 because they were only for that season in Season 24. But some of these could be super crazy with certain builds. I know that there is a weapon over here that could be something that if you want to consider, I just don't think it's going to be viable, but there is a weapon where you can deal a massive amount of damage to an enemy that is frozen. It's like I think it's called Rhymeheart. I'm not sure if you can get on Demon Hunter though. Oh, here it is. It is available, because some classes you don't have, you know, you can't throw everything to. But 20% chance to deal 10,000% weapon damage to cold to enemies that are frozen. And if you have a massive 50% chance to freeze an enemy, and then on top of that, if you run was it Frostburns, the gloves. I believe you can get those on Demon Hunter as well. This would be in this category. So it would be Frostburn. You have a 50% chance to freeze an enemy. I mean, at that point, is that not 100% chance? I'm pretty sure that there is some like internal cooldown. I know, I mean, if you could perma-freeze enemies, that could be something to consider as well for like a support. Crazy stuff. And then with the other one that I can compare, that I have like double copies of this one. Again, a lot of the things are pretty much the same, but this one changes the very, very bottom of the text, the Pool of Blood. This is the one where you deal less damage, but when you kill an elite, you get the Pool of Blood. The Pool of Blood now negates elite affixes, is the one I showed you guys. The other one, the Pool of Blood, also freezes non-elite enemies. So again, there are kind of variations of it. Now, I also want to explain kind of how you level them up, because you're going to need these things called the Hellforge Embers. So when you get a new legendary soul shard, they start off just with one line of text. So the Essence of Anguish, each time we deal poison damage to an enemy, you increase the cooldown, reduction, movement speed, whatever. So you have to use, let me go ahead and exit this. You have to actually upgrade them, and you can upgrade them 3 times. So if I upgrade it into the next rank, it takes a second. Now we have all these other bonuses. We get massive amount of damage, the crit hit, increased damage against elites, and then now I'm going to upgrade it again, and I'll mouse over it, and now it, I'm not sure what the extra bonus line of text was, but you get the idea. You upgrade it, and then now you're gonna get some sort of extra bonus. This one makes it so when you deal poison damage, they receive 50% increased poison damage from all sources. So there is a lot of variation to this, and these come unidentified, and you can stack them. But like we have 22 stacks right here. So that's basically going to be what I wanted to cover in this video. Again, there's probably lots of modifiers, and I'm going to have to basically farm up It's actually pretty easy on the PTR. You can just kind of get by them. But I'm going to see what else we can do, because I don't want to make this video like an hour long with all of the affixes. I might maybe make like a Google Docs spreadsheet or something instead, going over some of like the better ones in a future video. So if you guys do want to see that, make sure you guys are subscribed with the bell notification on, and I'll drop a video later down the line going over like some of like the best ones in the game. But if you guys do want to see gameplay of these in action, because I know this video was just showing off what the heck they did. I mean, I don't really feel like we need explanation of, well, did we get more crit hit chance and cooldown reduction, that kind of stuff, and just basically a lot more numbers. But there is some play with it, and I do like that there is creativity. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of these so far. I like them. I like the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna try to like freeze the enemies and then do this, because like this one makes it so our crit hit chance is reduced by 15%, but attacks against incapacitated enemies are automatically crit hit. So there is more ideas for like theory crafting, and I really like that. But like I said, if you guys want to see gameplay of the new legendary gems in action, we are rolling through content super fast here on the PTR. Definitely check it out. It'll be in the pinned comment. But take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next vid. I'm out. Peace.